My name is Syndey Padua. I'm an animator by day. I work in visual effects. I'm playing Hooky right now from the third Narnia film, Voyage of the Dawn Treader, which very kindly have tolerated my absence this evening. But by night, I fight crime. I draw a comic book based around, let's see if I can figure this out. Yay! This is Charles Babbage and Ada Lovelace, computing pioneers of the Victorian period. And I kind of do a slightly reimagined version of their life. It's a bit steampunky. They successfully invent the computer and fight crime in this comic. And what I do mostly is, as a jumping off point, I read over all these period documents. Babbage wrote an autobiography, which is wonderfully entertaining. There's a host of correspondence between Charles Babbage and Ada Lovelace. They have these very big personalities with a lot of stuff to play with. So in the comic, Charles Babbage, for instance, went to Mount Vesuvius and took some measurements there. And in the comic, they go to Mount Vesuvius and battle the salamander people. So slightly reimagined. So the series I'm working on now is called The Organist, and it's based on the fact that in his time, Charles Babbage was almost as famous as he was for inventing this calculating machine, as he was for hitting street music. And this is a period sheet music here. And that's Charles Babbage right there in the stripy pants, trying to get the policeman to arrest the band. As he developed this habit late in life of running out into the street whenever he heard a street musician and trying to get them arrested. It was a bit of a mania of his, and there's a whole chapter in his autobiography about the evils of street music. So in The Organist, in The Organist, I knew that I wanted to have, obviously Charles Babbage had to fight somebody called the organist. This is, so the jumping off point was, I saw this band that I really liked. The Correspondents, they're kind of a swing hop, kind of a local band. And I did this drawing for them just because I like the band. And this guy, the chief guy of the band, is very flamboyant, and I thought he'd make a great supervillain. So I just did this poster as a joke, and then everybody expected this to now be an actual story. So, so I had to have, I had to kind of plot something out. I find plot quite difficult, I think, like everybody else. This is my progress diagram from a few months ago. I make up the comics as I go along. I tend to draw an episode and then try to figure out what happens next. So because this is a bit chaotic, I decided to just impose an external structure on this story. And because this is about music, I thought Orpheus would be a good kind of a template for it. And in this, so it's not explicitly the story of Orpheus. I'm just using this kind of image of somebody being drawn into the underworld and then someone going to rescue them. So this is kind of a diagram I made for myself of Orpheus. It's just a circular pattern of going down and coming back up. And I just find a graphic like this really useful when I'm drawing comic panels. This is another, the whole comic is kind of structured around these dualities. It's a black and white comic. So I like to have this very stark, there's good and evil. And in the comic, science is good and art is evil. All the villains are poets and artists and musicians, and the good guys are all the scientists. This is, you can kind of see this idea of somebody being drawn back into darkness. Like Babbage basically goes mad and goes on this big campaign to destroy the organist. And Lovelace leaves him. And so I tried to open up this space of him being more and more isolated and kind of carry that into stuff like this. It's not, this is not some huge philosophical thing. It's just a crutch, really, because it's just a way of organizing the visuals and organizing the story. This is just, this is another set of panels. This is where Babbage gets kidnapped by the organist's army of capuchin monkeys, because, you know, organ grinders have monkeys, and the organist has an army of monkeys. And this is just a rough of Babbage his ordered world is very white, and it's very linear. He's always got his straight lines around him and these big gears, which is kind of his visual. And then this, you know, the evil forces of you know, the humanities basically are overwhelming him here. So that's a rough, and then this is it cleaned up. So it's, again, I guess I use this idea, if I go back a couple of, like using the kind of the structured shapes versus the swirling shapes. You know, it's just a helpful way when you're like, well, he's kidnapped by monkeys, how's that going to look? Well, it's going to go from this very white space with the cogs and everything very linear, and then it's going to kind of devolve into this chaos. And so that's pretty much it. Oh yeah, there's also kind of this ancillary, more overarching plot with Ada Lovelace, who was, historically she was a friend of Babbage's who wrote stuff for his engine, but she was also the daughter of Lord Byron, which is, I mean, you couldn't make this crazy thing up. So she's such she was also bipolar, I think, historically. So she's a really fantastic symbol of this kind of battle between, you know, the two sides of human nature. And again, visually, you know, when she's kind of under control and a mathematician, she's very linear, very straight up and down. And then every once in a while she goes mad and looks more like that. So I think that's it. Yeah, that's it. Thank you very much.